So, Liz Wimbush, guess what?
What?
I've not introduced a new member of the board to the PromoCares community in 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
2 years. I went back and looked Kate Nash's interview 2 years ago.
This is so exciting.
So the people haven't heard from us in a while. So hi.
Hi. Hi,
Hi there.
people.
So nice to have you.
Thank
Welcome
you.
to the board and welcome to uh, what some people feel like is a hot seat presentation when you get with me because I'm the kind of interviewer that likes to just like pick up the story already in progress a little bit, right?
Love it.
Like so, but before we get too far ahead of ourselves, for the uninitiated, for the uninformed, for the someone who may be interested in meeting Liz Wimbush for the first time, let's tell everybody a little bit about who you are.
Sure. So I, my name is Liz Wimbush. My role right now, I'm the Director of Sustainability and Responsibility at PPAI, which is how I work in this industry. I live in Los Angeles with my husband and my two dogs, but I am Canadian, so we are new here. And it's a very interesting time to be in that position, but I'm still very much loving it here. It's such a beautiful place. There's so much adventure and exploring.
Right?
And I love my job, I guess, the opportunity that I have with this role and the people that I get to work with, like you and everybody on the PromoCares board.
Uh,
It's pretty exciting.
so, 3 sentences on how you ended up where you're at role wise.
Three sentences. Right place, right time, right attitude. What's the third one? Right answers? I don't know. That's what I'm going to go with. Right answers.
All right. So, if I gave you more rope, what would you say?
Fair. I was not necessarily looking for a new job.
You're
Um,
at Commons Q, right?
I was a Jenny Mark.
Denmark. Yep. So okay. So
Yeah.
you
So
were in the post split. You went with yes.
yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
So
Okay.
I started at Right Sleeve, which same like the Grahams owned Right Sleeve
Yeah.
and Common Skew. And then when Jenny Mark acquired Right Sleeve, I joined the Jenny Mark team.
Gotcha.
So I was there for between the two companies 7 years in total. 6 or 7 years, yeah. And yeah, we were considering this move to the US. My husband's work moved us down here, and it came up that PPAI was very discreetly putting out feelers to see if there was somebody in the industry that could fit this new role they wanted to create. So there was a board mandate to bring somebody on staff full time to manage this increasing need for membership support around
Mm.
sustainability and general, responsibility. So they had considered bringing on a consultant, somebody from outside the industry. They talked about someone inside the industry, and I kind of just got wind of it. Again, right place, right time, and talked to the right people, and was immediately apparent to me that the impact potential in this role was something that I was very, very interested in.
Mm.
And the timing worked out pretty perfectly. We moved, we left Toronto after packing most of our stuff into a couple pods.
Mm.
We sold all our vehicles, motorbikes, vehicle, rented an SUV, loaded it up with all the stuff we didn't want to put in a pod and our dogs in mid-September of 2023 and drove across the continent. And I started at PPAI a week and a half later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the timing was just pretty perfect.
So you've been there now year and a half
Year and a
ish.
half-ish. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's been the big surprise?
At PPAI or living
Yeah.
here? At
No, at
PPAI,
PPAI. Yeah.
how excited people are for change.
Uh,
Um,
okay.
like across membership, across the association itself. I didn't realize how long this had been coming, essentially. Like
Mm.
this role or somebody to help with what I do. Um, so eager to engage. Like the amount of members I started reaching out to have calls when I first started to just, okay, you did it. I'm here. What do you want me to do? What should I focus on? Like the purpose of this is to be member facing and supportive of our membership. So I would like to talk to our members. And I wasn't sure if maybe I would struggle to get calls with people
Mm,
who I didn't know. Like I have a good circle,
sure.
but I wanted to make sure I could expand outside of that. And
Yeah.
everybody was so eager and willing to help and also to be in really collaborative conversations. Like we've got some volunteer work groups that are full of direct competitors who are very eager to make sure that we're all,
Yeah,
rowing in the same direction.
for
And
sure.
the idea that all boats rise on the tide, contributing to that positively is very inspiring.
For sure, and energizing. So you did not come to um, a situation where you had to warm up the opportunity. Clearly, there was some appetite for what was going on. So if you have a warm stove that you've
Yes.
approached, where are the first dishes you're able to cook up based on the fact that there was this appetite for what's going on in your role? Like what now you know I've talked to the people and like the first best thing I could do right now is X.
The first thing was putting some definitions out there and some standard language. There was a lot of concern that there's this disparate amount of initiatives that different companies or people are working on and not knowing if they're all working towards the same goals. What what does sustainability mean for our industry? Ultimately, was the question that came up over and over. So um, the first dish was a definition specific to the industry that was peer reviewed and kind of chewed on and made sure that we went through a few different iterations and got a lot of feedback on. So that's something that we did in the first 6 months. We did a little baby benchmarking survey with membership to get a sense of anybody I couldn't directly talk to. We wanted to hear from and have some opportunity for people to engage with us in a less, um, I don't want to say stressful way, but less hot seat way.
Got
Instead of being on the phone and me saying like, "What do you want right now? What can I do right
it.
now?" Maybe like get the survey, think about it, filter back through that, and yeah, that was overwhelmingly on there. So that definition went out first, and then education, like standardizing again the language and resource sharing. So we revamped a ton of what we had up on our website. Timing worked out well. We launched a new website almost a year ago in May, I believe it was last year. And the first new page we put on there was a sustainability page. So
Mhm.
a place to access that definition, a few updated glossaries and guides that we put together just to help people understand. This covers a lot. The umbrella term sustainability or responsibility covers so much. So wanting to make sure that we were offering explanations for what all those different
Yeah,
pillars
common
mean.
language.
Yeah, common language.
So we know what we're talking about when we're talking to each other. Like,
Yes.
hopefully that means the same thing. Was this a pet sustainability? Did was this nature or nurture for you? Like, how did you arrive at your desire to want to do what you're doing?
I think it's something that I've always been doing in one way or another. Um, so at Genumark, I was the VP of supply chain and sustainability. So a lot of background in supply chain logistics, figuring things out. Prior to that, I owned and ran a coffee shop in Toronto,
Oh,
an organic fair trade coffee shop that was very built on community. We had this idea that we wanted to build a great community hub and also show people that voting with your dollars works. So um, that was, that's a pretty obvious parallel. And then before that, I worked at CN Rail,
hmm.
my first like big grown-up job. With
Working on
that,
the railroad.
working on the railroad, and that was in logistics. But one of the reasons I left that, it was a very cushy career path, and I started to feel the golden handcuffs get
Mm,
closer, and I didn't feel like I was positively contributing to the world. Like I would regularly wake up and get ready for work and think like, okay, in my day to day right now, I'm going to solve problems, I'm going to help people, but am I actually contributing anything? I feel like I'm not. I feel like I'm maybe helping to contribute to some things that don't sit as well with me, like, nothing huge or really dramatic, just mm, I don't know.
Hmm.
I don't know how I feel about this kind of career path.
Hmm.
Um, so to the shock and dismay of most people, not my mom. My mom was always the most supportive cheerleader.
Aw,
Love her.
love mom.
But yeah, I did the like cashing in my pension and
Went
dream
for it.
big, went for
Went
it.
went for it.
Yeah,
Was this pre-husband or post-husband?
free. So
Pre.
I met him there actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so if the listener viewer has a brain in their head, they see the natural segue to PromoCares in this discussion.
Yes.
So here we are. We've found one another. How did you find us? Like, plug in. It's always fun to hear. Like, the way I like to tell this story is the train's been running for a while now.
Right.
So, what depot are we picking Liz up on this journey? Right?
Right. So I think I first heard about PromoCares when I was at Jenny Mark.
Okay.
I think some of the first initiatives that we heard about from some vendor partners. So I think maybe some of the early supporters who were doing a really good job of putting out messaging around it. Um, Also, just being generally tuned in with anything that Denise Taschereau was involved in. Started to hear about it from her. Like, you know, her and Fairware have been leaders in so much of what I've been trying to do in our industry for so long, and just, looking to them to see where they've had success and how we
Yeah.
can build on that and promote it and continue to grow it.
Right.
Um, so I think through those two channels, and then at Expo, getting to chat with y'all. My first Expo on staff at PPAI, I was 3 months, not even 3 months in, and
Wow.
I knew what to expect with Expo because I'd attended as an
Sure.
attendee, but
Sure.
it's different on staff. I'm sure it's very different as an exhibitor, which I see a little bit of now, but it was this whirlwind, and I got invited to sit not on the board meeting, but to join for part of a conversation just to generate interest and get to meet everybody. And it was this like oasis of not calm, joy
Yeah.
amidst
No, that's
amidst everything. It was like
totally get it.
all the rooms are very similar. If you host a meeting at the Mandalay Bay, they're all the same setup structure. So walking in, but like immediately the feeling of like overwhelming joy walking into
Yeah.
that room,
Yeah.
which really cemented for me that I need to worm my way in.
Yeah. Well, what's and and it took us a year to get to a place where we can have it be formal and we can have a talk like this and we can tell the world and all of
Yes.
that fun stuff. So congratulations, you made us wait the longest of anyone.
Thank you. I hope it's worth it. I believe it will be.
I share your opinion. I have every expectation that it will be great. Obviously, things have changed at the PPAI level in the time that you've been there,
Mhm.
both from um, the transition from Dale to Drew, but also like I want to give you a chance to touch on like how in the time you've been there, the influence of promo cares at the leadership level of PPAI and your
Mhm.
ability to be able to see it through that framework. Like you have a very unique perspective in that regard because I can sit here and tell someone who's watching this for days about the ways that promo cares influence has risen within the industry, but you have a much different perspective on that because you see it. So
Mhm.
I think it would be really interesting for you to touch on that in the time that you've been sitting in your
Yeah.
position.
So we have two current board members who are also PromoCares board members. Our current chair, Denise Taschereau, and Danny Rosen, both of who are very passionate about the positive impact potential that merch has. Um, there's a lot of focus on there has historically been a lot of focus on how to reduce the negative impact, the negative environmental impact. But there's starting to be an increasing amount of conversation around the potential positive impact and the social impact of merch. And that's starting to come through in the direction we get from our board. And like you said, the influence has grown. Carrie Cowden, who just rolled off our board, sadly, I wish we could keep her forever. Also an important part of PromoCares. And I think that those voices at that table that help shape the direction of where the association goes. Like we're so fortunate to have that level of leadership and those people giving us their time and helping us understand where we need to go, and especially in this area.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so let's just layer into the complexity of this situation, the geopolitical climate. And we talk about PromoCares as a big tent, which if you look at our brand and our mission, it suggests that some of what's being attacked today in our geopolitical climate would fall under the PromoCares big tent.
Mm-hmm.
How do you see that from your perch? Like, how pervasive what I'm saying do you feel like that has seeped into what's going on at this point? Like, where are we in that continuum, do you think?
I think there's the biggest impact is uncertainty.
Yeah.
Like lowercase c chaos
Mm-hmm.
and uncertainty. And the cuts to a lot, like the cuts to USAID and how that's going to impact um, communities worldwide, and how it ends up making these kinds of projects and initiatives so much more important, because it really does then elevate what the importance of it, because there is that gap. Those gaps are starting to pop up, and people are starting to feel like, I don't want to say there's no hope, because that sounds so awful. It's easy to get sucked into the despair
Mm-hmm.
cyclone, if you spend a little bit too much time reading the news or on your phone, or not getting out and seeing what's happening and talking to people. There's still so much incredible work being done. And I think people have generally buckled down and said, like, nope, this isn't going to change what I'm doing or how I'm committed to it or what I'm focusing on. If anything, this strengthens my resolve. I think that's what I'm seeing, which is very heartwarming, and also helps keep my head in the game.
Right. Right. We have another member of the PromoCares community that is considering a move into a more active role organizationally. And she said to me, I feel like I'm on an island. And it can be very lonely here
Mm-hmm.
when I feel like no one cares about what I care about. And what that person articulated to me was the joy that they feel over knowing that they're not alone,
Yeah.
and that there is a community of people who feel how she feels.
Mm-hmm.
That when she's feeling that way, let me just go get my lifeline and go talk to my people,
Yeah.
because it's easy to get shaken when what seemingly is society against you challenges your values and your beliefs in a way that is uncomfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe there were people who were espousing a philosophy that was consistent with the marketing trends of life and not really what they believed.
Right.
And it's in times like these that the people who were just talking about it stop talking about it. And
Yes.
and we're watching that happen, especially in DEI, like
Yes.
it's going out of style by the minute.
Yeah.
And whether or not you can hold true to your values in this time largely is driven by how much you and your people truly believe that this is what separates your business from the competition. And if you truly
Yes.
believe that's true, we're not going anywhere with what we do.
Yeah.
And in reality, what it does for me, what it does for people who believe this way, is it makes it easier for me to know who's a prospect.
Yes. That's a good perspective. I think that it's like people become these beacons of light that it's easier to see. That sense of community, I think, has been really important and will continue to be even more important in having those lifelines. Like you said, that's a really good way to say that. I've had a few conversations like that when I get, the despair chasm. I'm on the edge of it and trying not to get sucked in and having to like put my hand up and say, I'm not, please somebody talk to me about this. I'm not alone in this, right?
Please,
And
please, please,
being
please. Yeah.
reeled back in and you know, having that resolve strengthened again and saying, no, you're right. You're right. This is a speed bump. It's not a roadblock.
If you're playing a long game and it's what you really believe, life goes up, life goes down. You're going to have to deal with it, right? One way or the other. So it's when you're not entirely sure about how you feel about what you've said that you get yourself in trouble. Because now you're like, well, am I going to get canceled now because the attitudes have changed?
Right.
Well, if you get canceled for what you believe, then that's called integrity.
Yeah.
So I think if you have integrity and someone who doesn't share your belief wants to cast aspersion on you, if you have a good community, they'll rally to your cause.
Yeah.
But you better have built that community, because in times like these, what you really need is people who trust you.
Yes.
And what better way to have shared trust than values? I don't know. Seems weird to me.
Yeah.
So to me, the real challenge in our industry to a certain extent is really twofold. One, and I love your opinion on this, when I present the topic of Red Goldfish Promo Edition about this idea of businesses built on purpose are outperforming the marketplace. When people encounter me about this discussion, they're like, yeah, but you're the industry full of plastic. Aren't you just greenwashing? So like, how do we combat that? It's like, how do we not just accept the fact that they're like, but you're plastic?
Yeah, the brand fill reputation is something that we're definitely struggling against. I think education and communication. One of the challenges we face as an industry is this almost broken telephone form of communication through to the people who get our stuff. So the buyers are sometimes the end users, but rarely, and the person who gets it doesn't have a good opportunity to either understand the story that is in that piece or communicate how they feel about it back up to the people who make it, who sourced it, who decorated it, who pitched it, who sold it. So those communication lines, we're seeing now they're being pushed a little bit more. So there's a little bit more open communication, and some of that is through really cool technology like digital product passports. If I have a product that I can explain the full supply chain story of, because I've invested in that transparency and it's really important to me.
Yeah.
And I want that to be communicated to the end user, like digital product passports are starting to come online in the EU in a mandatory sense, but here they're voluntary. And we're seeing more and more of them, because if I can get a product, if I get a water bottle that there's either, a hang tag on or a QR code or something that I scan, and it takes me to a web page of a verified third party that I can look into all this information, suddenly there's a really good story behind this. And I want to know how I can better support the company that either made it or sourced it. If there's an amazing give back component, like all of these things, that communication is the struggle. So I think finding ways to solve for that, both up and down our supply chains, as well as really listening to our customers' needs. I think there's an element of our industry that has, you need this, let me get that for you.
Fast, super fast.
Fast, super fast. Like, we got 24-hour turnarounds. Don't worry about it. We'll airship it.
You want some stuff? We got some stuff.
We got stuff. but instead saying like, okay, I hear you're asking for this. Tell me what you're trying to accomplish with this. Like we're elevating this idea of our medium, merch, as a legitimate advertising form. And it deserves the same amount of thought and attention and planning that a pop-up experience, a TV ad, a fill in blank, any other kind of advertising deserves.
Every other kind that you spend money on.
Every other form of marketing. So, no one's calling up their ad agency and saying, "Hey, I need a TV spot in a week. What do you got for me?" Like there's this thoughtful planning that goes into it. And when you have that kind of thoughtful planning approach, you really do get access to incredible merch that is not junky plastic. The stuff that some of our suppliers are making is incredible. It tells really good stories. It has such a positive impact. And it's beautiful, high-end products that you use.
Gallery quality stories. There are
Yeah.
gallery quality stories available to you if you would allow the experts in this supply chain to get their hands loose on your stuff
Yeah.
with enough time to really deliver something that would make it so memorable.
Yeah.
And you know me, I mean, I've been preaching this since the beginning of PromoCares. Like, I don't want you to do shitty promo. I just don't
Yeah.
want you to do it. I just don't. And I'm 8 years later, legitimately, I'll get people come up to me, kind of like sidle up to me, clients and stuff, and they'll be like, "Hey, I bought some stuff, and I knew that you would get mad, so I didn't buy it from you." And my answer is good,
Yeah.
good, because if you're going to make dumb mistakes like that, don't do it with me,
Because you'll say
right?
no. And that kind of confidence, like that's something that I think as a whole we're getting better at as an
Yeah.
industry is this idea that it's okay to say no. And we're not saying no, shut the door, walk away. We're
No,
saying
let me.
no, but
But right,
so no, I'm not going to try and source you these junky fill in blank on an incredibly tight turnaround and airship it when your logo might look slanted and awful on it. But I would love to make something really impactful and meaningful for your brand
yeah.
that the person who gets it is going to be excited about keeping it. And the impressions that your brand gets are going to go through the roof.
No,
Like,
no doubt about it. So, since we're preaching to the choir and we're going to hope that all of the watchers are also in the congregation,
yeah,
what do you think PromoCare's role is at this stage of the game?
I think it's a connector. It's a connector between the people in our supply chains, and the people who have the buying power, and helping everybody along that understand all of those different things. So understand the buying power. You've got this incredible opportunity for what we do to have such an amazing impact. And the people in the communities where merch is being made have a need. And to be able to connect that need to the people who have buying power, to the people who can market this, like those connections, and especially when you talk about with everything going on right now, the kind of uncertainty and the chaos and the some people feeling a little bit hopeless, seeing that impact and having the ability to influence that kind of positive impact really is affirming and helps everybody feel like they're doing something. Like I can do something instead of just watching the news and wringing my hands and worrying,
Well,
or, you know, continuing to read about tariffs and how positively awful it's going to be for economies everywhere. I can do something.
I can do
I,
something.
I can do something. I can do something. My business can do something. My salespeople can do something. These teams can do something. Like it's just amplified.
Totally. And when you're uncertain, I've been taught to always look to serve other people.
Hmm.
So even if I'm not entirely sure what to do, I know that cosmically I'm taking care of myself by taking care of the world.
Yeah.
So we offer, to me, in the industry, we offer you inspiration, but maybe more importantly now, and I want to talk a little bit about Water for Good, we offer you a way to actually execute.
Yes.
on the inspiration. So you came to us, we're in year 2 of Water for Good. So like, tell us your perspective on that campaign and like how you see it from your spot, and what do you think that drives home for us organizationally when it comes to what I just described?
I think it shows how successful these kind of initiatives can be and how successful a group of people coming together around a shared ideal can be. Like, how much has Water for Good raised to this point? Like, how many water towers have been built?
Well, we're going on 10 going up, and we probably have 10 more in the hopper.
Like, no big deal. That's
No
just
big deal.
from your hearts and minds deciding to do something and bringing together your collective power and community to build this. So that is mind-boggling. Like, it's not, hey, let's cut a check. It's, hey, let's find these opportunities to really dig in and create something that matters. And like, now there's a few suppliers that are doing multiple in a year. Their employees are going to these places and being part of the builds of these water towers. Like, that continuation and building of it. And it's recognized now. Like, Water for Good is a recognized campaign across the industry. I think through the networks and the really good marketing and those supplier partners really digging in and building their, the programs around it, it's been so successful. I can't think of a lot of other campaigns that in that period of time have become like recognized
Yeah.
instantly. I know exactly what you're talking about when you say Water for Good.
PPEF.
Fair.
Water for Good.
Yeah.
And to me, like, now that we've just like, this is a franchise now. We're gonna build a sustained model around Water for Good. It's not going anywhere. So anybody who's into clean water, that is looking for somewhere to put their hearts and minds and talent and treasure, please come join us. But let anybody who's stuck with us this far, I'm going to give them a little piece of gold. Okay. If your buyers are struggling because they're uncertain right now, but organizationally they have values around clean water, even if they aren't going to buy anything else, if you went and took them and said, look, we're doing this thing and they're building water towers, and I know that you really don't want to buy anything else, but would you want to get something from this catalog? And by the way, if you're going to get something from this catalog that's client facing, let me teach you how to go tell them the story about why you bought it.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Because it's not so much that you believe what you believe, Mr. Distributor, which is very important, and we're very excited for you to want to have that belief. But what you're really looking for is clients who feel what you feel.
Yeah.
And what better way to remind them of the fact that the two of you care about the same thing than giving them something that reminds them of your shared values?
And that connection, that like emotional connection, is so valuable. Because
they're not throwing the thing away. They're not throwing the thing away. They'll be like, oh my God, I cannot get rid of this. I've seen people go, I'd rather you not give it to me than me take it. Right? Like, there's people who are sensitive to this notion. And if you can touch on that emotion for them, when they take it, they are keeping it. Like, there's just no disputing it. It takes the thing from an exchange, a transaction, to a commemorative.
Yeah.
To a keepsake. And when we create keepsakes, they don't get thrown away. Period. Okay.
Oh, yeah. You think about that band shirt you've had for how long? Like, everyone's got one or two things that are like the memory in a physical
spring
form.
Break from high school, beach towel, like from wherever you went. Like, what, it becomes those things. And what we as practitioners in this space need to get better at is what we just described.
Agreed. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether it's PromoCares. It could be whatever reason.
But
why did I pick what I picked for you to buy?
Yes. Yeah.
And here's the reason why. And if you're going to buy it from me, I love that idea. It validates my creativity. But in reality, that's only half the story. The rest of it has to be, what are you going to do with it when you buy it from me?
Yeah.
And
Where's
those
it
are the things
going?
that are most important. Okay. So if Liz is coming in and she believes everything she just heard and she's on board, what's the thing that you're going to bring that's going to move this thing forward in a way that we're going to point back to this interview however long ago and be like, she totally delivered on what she said?
No pressure.
No pressure.
Uh, I I really see this as an incredible opportunity to take the brain trust of the current PromoCares board and try and come up with some guidance for our industry and our membership around how did you do this? Like, there's so many how-tos and guides around engaging with environmental initiatives in our industry now. And I do want to support and continue to grow those. But how do I set up a give back program that is aligned with what I believe and is actually impactful? And then how do I communicate that to my sales team, to the people buying it, to the people getting it? That avenue, if I can find a way to extract the special sauce from this incredible group of people and build something that helps our membership do more.
Yes.
Come up with their version of water for good.
Yes.
To really blow up the potential positive impact of our industry, like merch for good, then it's just table stakes. And that, along with just, a big part of this role is being the megaphone holder.
Yeah.
And by this role, I mean at PPAI.
Sure.
I want to make sure that the megaphone is on, and then it's pointing to the right people, and that the right person is behind it. So if I can hold that megaphone up and say, all right, it's on, let's go. Let's talk about it.
Yep.
Those are the two things that I really want to accomplish.
Awesome. And like, that's mic drop as far as I'm concerned, that you landed the plane.